Yeah, my name is Jennifer Frank. I'm the head coach of the varsity sports program. I work alongside the assistant director who works with rec services, and then I work for the two directors who are both staff or faculty with ETBD. Video games is a place where students who don't necessarily have the social capabilities or the fortune of having a big social circle, that's where a lot of students turn to. They turn to video games. But I see a lot more kids blossom socially when esports kind of comes up because there are students that have been told all their lives that, video games aren't a part of your personality. You shouldn't play them. I was that kid. It provides them with some legitimacy for what they do. It's not just, oh, my son sits in the basement and plays video games all day, right? Mom comes and sees them perform, and it's like, this is a real thing for them. Giving them the opportunity to kind of socially blossom is really important part of that collegiate experience for me. A lot of them do gain communication skills that they may not have had. I think there is some education on kind of how to work with authority. A lot of these kids, they weren't on soccer teams or they weren't on football teams. They've never dealt with a coach or an administrator or something like that.
Hey, I think you're right. He played 46%.
I think it does a lot for their multitasking and their focus, but it's two very different things. So learning all of that, I think, is really pivotal for them um, as they move on into their adult life. But yeah, I think more than that, just balance, just life balance.
But like if you have a sniper and like you ADS.
I think that's a great thing to kind of recognize. It's not all mental, it is physical, and injuries can happen. Our first person shooters, they require aim training. And aim training isn't just kind of staring and watching the aim happen. It's a lot of shoulder, it's a lot of wrist movements, and it's a lot of lower back and posture stuff. And you can tell my posture sucks right now, but I don't let my kids sit like this while they're playing. And so to recognize kind of the stamina, the physical stamina that requires, I think is going to help people recognize that it is a sport. The students are working hard on this. I also think that there's so much academically that esports can provide. There's so much data that hasn't been analyzed yet. There's so many experiments that haven't been done that our program is just a jackpot for people who want to do that. I am very curious about what this would mean for a person's like real world reflexes. Specifically, I'm very interested in what this does for students' peripheral vision because the screen is right here, right? So they have to be able to reach out visually across a certain kind of boundary. Those opportunities are just so vital, especially so early in the esports scene. I think the big thing between traditional sports and regular esports is the kind of how tumultuous any game is in particular. You never know when a game's going to come up and it's going to be huge. And we need a team for it right now. And never knowing kind of when your game is going to fall off, that's scary. I can't imagine a football player having that issue. Or just a game changing, the way the game is played. Overwatch was a great example of this. It was a six-player team and now it's a five-player team. If you aren't flexible, a great example of Overwatch 2, if you aren't flexible and have another role, then 1/6 of every Overwatch player got cut, theoretically. You're never going to see them talk to a baseball team and say, we're coming out with baseball 2, and now the outfield doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. So it's, just having the flexibility to handle those changes on a moment's notice is something that you don't have to endure in other sports. The other thing too is that these players are always doing research. They're always looking ahead. Hearthstone just is announcing a new expansion, for example. They announced it maybe yesterday, the day before. There's an entire new class, which is an entire new type of gameplay. The kids are already trying to learn strategy for that gameplay just from the announcements that are coming out. The game hasn't gone live, but they have to study in advance so that they're prepared in the future. So a lot of study goes into it, a lot of research, and just a lot of flexibility.